trust anybody now.
Come on, you hey! You want to live forever?
Now what?
But no matter what happens, Godzilla will live.
And welcome back to the 83rd episode of the Monster Movie Stompdown. You got your host, Sludge, here. My co-host across from me
is Mark,
the master from Texas.
Ruben.
And this is going to be a great episode. Why? Because it is my birthday bash episode. We're going to do a double feature today because it was my birthday 3 days ago. You know, I was pretty excited about this until Stompy posted earlier today. Did you guys see his post?
I read
Yep,
one
I
of
did.
them. I can't remember which one.
Well, you know, because they handle the commercials and promoting the episodes.
Oh, yeah.
And so he goes online and he posts, that this one's coming up, and he starts talking all this crap. He's like, so I guess Sludge thinks he's the man or some crap. You know, I mean, it's just like, thanks, man.
I did read that.
I was so excited at first, but I'm like, man, look at you, ruining freaking things.
Ruin it, yeah.
I'm
belligerent. Just belligerent.
Really pushing the birthday.
Oh, yeah, he definitely is. And he drives me nuts because now he called the other day. And he's like, hey, man, we need to update the online images. I'm like, of what? He's like, me and Frank. I was like, why? Oh, man, well, I bought a hoodie and this cool Batman hat, and I'm going to wear it for the shows now. I'm like, so why do I need to update? Because I'm going to wear it all the time, man. I can't do his voice. He's just a freaking brash. But anyway, so we're in the process of trying to get updated images for them. I'm like, he's a diva. But he's good at what he does.
So now he's going to wear a Batman mask, huh? Or what, a
Batman hat. It is a pretty cool hat.
Is it? Okay.
He's in a picture.
All right.
I'm like, that is pretty sweet.
Uh-huh.
But I even told him, I was like, dude, where did you find a hoodie to wear? Like, I mean, did you go to Walmart's, juniors section? And of course, that pissed him off.
Yeah, I was going to say, why didn't you just open the can of worms?
Come on. Stompy goes he's much more sophisticated. He goes to Gap Kids.
That's what it is. Yep.
Yeah.
Gap Kids.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna get those new promo pictures of them done, and I'm gonna put a Gap Kids thing.
I know one thing though. Man, I'm not late in posting any of my stuff because he's on me if I don't post it in time.
Dude, I was thinking about it the other night, last night, because we record on Tuesdays, and it was Monday. I'm like, you're going through, had a busy day. Then it was like 8 o'clock or something. I'm like, oh crap, I gotta post the underdogs because if not, we'll freaking get a message from Stompy at any moment. Just waiting for it. I'm pretty excited.
The guy rules with fear.
We've got their first episode coming out at the end of the month. The 30th is when it's coming out. And I'm pretty excited about it. But Frank messaged me the other day. And he's like, Sludge, can I have a certain song on our intro? Because I make all the intros for our show and the other shows in the network. I said, yeah, man, what do you want? Because usually I'll be like, hey, when some of the other guys on the network are like, hey, we want to do a new intro. Will you make one? I said, absolutely. Send me a couple ideas of what you're kind of going for, style or genre, and then we'll start building from there, and we'll create an all-original intro for him. And so I told Frank, I was like, yeah, man, just send me whatever, and we'll work on it. And of course, he sends me like 3 Hasselhoff songs. And my thought process was, dude, this is going to piss Stompy off. He's not going to, he loves his brother, but he is not going to go for it. Yeah, I can't wait for Stompy to hear the intro we got going for him. So it'll be pretty good. But we're excited, man. They've got their first episode. It's going to be a shorter episode. Like I said, I've gave them about 15, 20 minutes. And they're going to review the movies we're doing tonight, 20 Million Miles to Earth and The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, my 2 favorite Ray Harryhausen films. And, of course, later this month, we're doing The Monster, a 2016 film. They're going to do that one also. So they're going to give you their review and their opinions on the films that we do this month.
Oh,
so
Lordy.
It'll be interesting.
I wonder what that's going to be like. Yeah, that one's going to be interesting.
Well, since they've came on the scene, I'm really, really thinking I need to have a meeting with Stompy because I think I can get a new chair. I really do. I really, really do. I really do.
Yeah. It's probably because he'll annoy the freaking crap out of me until I get one. I'm like, God, or he may go pick one up. Who knows? I mean, he acts like he's all nice and stuff, but he's definitely not. So, all right, guys.
See, I'm insulated from that. I'm all the way in Texas. He's not going to come.
Oh yeah,
down
you're
here.
lucky. You're definitely lucky.
He ain't coming down here.
Yeah.
He's not coming down here.
No,
you don't have to know how.
You don't have to deal with him showing up here in the studio.
Yeah, nope. Those sure don't.
Yeah.
I do. Gosh. So, all right. Yeah. So, but pretty stoked about it. Make sure you guys, now you got to go make sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find our YouTube channels at the Monster Movie Stompdown, because that is where their show will be an actual video podcast, a video cast. So you'll get to see them in action. It'll be our first video show for the Monster Movie Stompdown. But you do have to go to our YouTube channel and subscribe, hit the like buttons, the bell notification, whole nine yards, so you know when the episodes are coming out. And definitely check that out. I'm pretty stoked about it. And I'm going to tell you what, though, one last thing, we'll get moving. We're supposed to paint the new room this weekend, and if that little freaking orange prick don't show up to help me paint, I'm gonna be so mad, because he's like, "We gotta do it this way, Sludge. We gotta do it this way." And I'm like, "All right, fine. We'll paint. This. We'll paint this way." So he better freaking be here to help me paint.
Again, I'm
that's
so glad I'm in Texas. So glad I'm in Texas.
All right. Anyway, so this is my birthday bash. I just had a birthday on the 3rd of this month, and we decided to pick 2 movies. I want to do a double feature of my favorite Ray Harryhausen films. We've done movies that Ray's worked on, and we've talked about Ray tons of times through our shows. I'm a huge fan of Ray Harryhausen because, growing up, stop motion animation, or as later on in his career, I think Charles Schneer and the crew changed it to what they call it, Dynamation. I think is what they named. Dynamation. Calling it. That was. Those were some of my favorite films as a child, was going back and watching, these 2 movies, or The Valley of Gwangi, Clash of the Titans, all the way back to, King Kong, Mighty Joe Young, which he didn't work on King Kong, Willis O'Brien did, but Willis O'Brien, who pioneered the stop-motion animation, Ray Harryhausen learned from him, and they actually worked together on Mighty Joe Young, the original Mighty Joe Young, not the one with Charlize Theron, or whatever it was, Bill Paxton?
Yeah.
That was a good remake, by the way. I did like that one, actually. Kind of really captured the soul of the first film. But so anyways, huge Harryhausen fan, and I was like, man, I want to do my 2 favorite ones. And to me, there's not a bad Harryhausen film. It just doesn't exist. He's done so many good movies. Even Mysterious Island, which I would put on the lower tier of his films in ranking, because you got The Golden Voyage of Sinbad, Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, Jason and the Argonauts. All these movies. Yeah. Even Mysterious Island was great. It's so his stuff his work's phenomenal. So we decided to do these 2, and of course the first one that we're going to do tonight is going to be 20 Million Miles to Earth.
Oh yeah.
Which did come after 20,000 or The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, which is our second movie, but 20 Million Miles to Earth is my favorite, so it's going to go first. So let's go ahead and get started, man. Here's the trailers.
Airship XY-21, which crashed into the Mediterranean Sea on the 11th, was a single-stage, astral-propelled rocket launched 13 months ago from a site within the United States. The rocket, with its complement of 17 men, had landed on the planet Venus.
Venus?
The planet Venus?
Some of you may also have heard the story of a monster now confined here in Rome Zoo. That beast is from Venus.
Careful those electric cables! Misericordia!
Power's gone.
say there are things better left unsolved.
Who knows what waits for us in nature's no man's land?
Impossible, unbelievable, fantastic. But I tell you, it could happen. It could happen. It could happen. It could happen.
Yes, it could happen. For various authorities believe that buried somewhere under the polar ice cap, in a state of suspended animation, are the awesome creatures, the leviathans that roamed the earth at the dawn of time. And under certain conditions, a nuclear explosion could free one from his icy tomb. Then, guided by instinct, the beast would come back to the caverns of the deepest Atlantic where it was spawned. An armored giant, wreaking his prehistoric fury on modern man and his puny machines. Cities would be terrorized by the cruel intruder from the past. Populations crazed and panicked with fear by its destructive force. Granite and steel would crumble. Soldiers and their weapons would be powerless before the onslaught of the beast. The beast. The beast. The beast from 20,000 fathoms.
Herald Square, 34th Street, Broadway. Every section of the city is guarded. No one knows where the monster will strike next.
Another one, Colonel?
No.
You know what the radioactive isotope is?
No, but if it can be loaded, I can fire it.
I'll load it. Just remember one thing. This is the only isotope of its kind this side of Oak Ridge, so you can't miss.
Welcome to Good Beer, Bad Movie Night, where each month we drink finely crafted brews while watching terrible films in order to see just how drunk you have to get to enjoy them. So tune in and join Troy.
Killboy Kreitz.
Oh, that was pretty good.
Thank you.
Dave.
I have the weirdest
And Pete.
IPAs are ales, meaning they are bottom fermented. Excuse me, they are top fermented. I that up. Try that again.
As we drag Kathleen,
Hear me.
kicking and screaming through an alcohol-fueled podcast dedicated to movies of questionable quality and the frosty adult beverages that help make them tolerable. Good Beer, Bad Movie Night. Clearly, it's the beer's fault.
All right, and that was the trailer for 20 Million Miles to Earth and The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, the movies we're going to review tonight, and as well a commercial for our brothers Pete and his crew over at Good Beer, Bad Movie Night. Make sure we've got a whole slew of shows for you guys at the Give Me Back My Podcast Network. You can find us all on Facebook and Instagram. Go join all the groups, follow all of us on Instagram. We promise you, you've got great shows that you can listen to all week long from every one of us, and especially Pete's crew. They picked the worst movies, and they're absolutely hilarious.
I agree with that one.
Mark's super excited because we actually got Pete picking Mark's birthday movie next month. So, and I don't know what it's boiling down to. So I can't wait for him to decide. So
now he's on vacation. You said
he's on vacation right now. Yes,
he's not. What anything special? I know
him and his wife went skiing in Colorado.
Skiing.
Yep. He said he could literally be a dishwasher and just there and ski every day. Like he loves skiing. So
be careful, Pete. Be careful. We wouldn't want you to have an accident.
Mark, your fingers are crossed. What's going on there? So
I got an airline ticket for Stompy.
yeah. So and a heads up, guys, we do want to apologize in advance if you hear something that sounds like this. It's because I went to Dollywood this past weekend, and they have classic candy that I grew up on, and I bought like a 2-pound bag, and it's sitting on our table right now. And so me and Mark might be grabbing candy throughout the show.
Well, you notice I threw it back in there.
You threw it back in the bag?
Yes.
But yet the bag's sitting wide open in front of us.
No, right in front of you.
Well, that's the point of that. We can just pour it all out on the table.
Wrong. Look at that.
Look at this pile of just goodness.
no
Let's do that.
bit of honeys. You won't be able to talk. It'll be
No, yeah. So I love classic candy. Web and Mark does too. I mean, and it was him and my grandparents, and we got bit of honeys. We've got atomic fireballs. We got Chica Sticks, Charleston Chews. I mean, you name it when it comes to the classic candy.
It's here.
The unnamed strawberry candy, which everybody's grandmother had. It's like that strawberry hard candy, but it's got the strawberry gel inside.
Got the red and green wrapper.
Yeah, that looks like a strawberry.
Yeah.
Like, what are these called? Does anybody know what these are called? I have no idea. There's no name. These have no name. They're grandma's strawberry candy. That's what it is. So, anyways,
if we're going to do this, then you're going to need to put some in a box and mail them to Ruben so we can all sit down together.
Ruben's staring at the candy like, man.
He's just looking.
How's it going over there in Texas now, Ruben? So, anyway, so yeah, let's get
just fine because I'm not diabetic.
All right, let's get started here. First one, 20 Million Miles to Earth. Man, huge fan of this movie. This movie came out in June 1957. It was directed by Nathan Duran. Of course, stars the great William Hooper and Joan Taylor. Joan Taylor actually was working with Ray Harryhausen like the year before. She did Earth versus the Flying Saucers with him, and as well as Charles Sneer, who produced this film and produced Earth versus the Flying Saucers, and he did. He worked on a lot of stuff with Ray Harryhausen. I mean, almost everything. I mean, he worked on Charles Sneer, of course, did so many great classic science fiction fantasy films back in the day, and a slew of them he did with Ray. I mean, he did 20 Million Miles to Earth, Clash of the Titans, Golden Voyage of Sinbad, Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, It Came from Beneath the Sea, Jason and the Argonauts, Mysterious Island, Valley of Gwangi, Earth versus the Flying Saucers. The list goes on. And those two, I feel like, were the perfect team because everything they put out, if it had Charles Sneer and Ray Harryhausen's name attached to it, it's just gold, absolute gold. But so this movie's got a pretty cool, simple plot. A group of astronauts actually make it to Venus. And the movie starts off with the rocket ship actually crash landing on its way back in Italy, in Sicily. No one survives other than Toby Hooper's character. He's the only one that survives. The rest of the crew has already died or ends up dying. But through the crash, as they're getting rescued out by some of the local fishermen, an awesome little boy named Pepe, who all he cares about is his cowboy hat, and he's got, he finds this test tube. Or this tube container that has washed ashore from this ship, and he takes this thing. What's inside of it is this gelatinous-like egg, and takes it to a local scientist, or zoologist, and sells it to him for 200 lira. How do you pronounce that, Ruben? 200 lira. Lira. 200 lira. So that he can buy himself a cowboy hat like it is in the movies. And the boy, he gets his 200 lira and gets his cowboy hat. And you get to see him shooting his little pretend guns there. I'm so excited for Pepe because he gets what he wants.
From the country of Texas that's right next to the United States.
Oh, that's right. That's what it does say, the country of Texas.
And that perfectly sets up the attitude of Texans. So he hit it right on the money. We think we're another country altogether all the time.
Yeah. So he sells this thing to Dr. Leonardo, who is played by Frank Puglia, and he finds out this thing ends up hatching, and we have the Ymir, the creature in this movie, which it's called the Ymir, but it never actually gets named throughout the movie. So they end up, they've got the Ymir, him and his daughter, who's played by Joan Taylor, who's Marissa Leonardo, and they start to study this thing, and they find out that this thing overnight doubles in size. Well, while this is going on, the surviving colonel, the William Hopper's character, Robert Calder, they're looking for this thing. They know they brought this creature back, and they're trying to find it. And they obviously do end up finding it because it escapes from Dr. Leonardo. Because again, this thing doubles in size almost every night. So the chase is on, and throughout the countryside of Italy, all the way into Rome, they are chasing and fighting after this creature tooth and nail. This thing feeds on sulfur, and so as this thing terrorizes through the countryside, it ends up going to some sulfur pits where they're able to finally trap it. They do talk about how they were able to find out that electricity paralyzes the animal, and so they use electrified nets off of helicopters to trap it and then paralyze it, and then they take it to Rome They got it chained up, and they're there to study it. During that, they find out that, hey, this thing's pretty much bulletproof. Why is it not, the bullets not harming it? The scientists do let them know it's because it has no heart or lungs. It's got a vast system of tubes through its body, like these veins that provide oxygen and blood flow, which makes it almost impossible to kill. Now, as they go to do run some other tests on it, it does manage to wake up and escape, and it breaks out of the facility into Rome. It fights an elephant, and which is what you would think a space monster versus an elephant wouldn't be that great of a fight. It is absolutely epic. And he takes the elephant down, and he makes it to the Colosseum, where they end up finally killing the monster at the top of the Colosseum. It's grown to gigantic size at this point, and they end up finally taking it down, and it dies there at the Colosseum at the final battle of Rome, which is absolutely awesome. Pretty simplistic plot. A lot of the movies that they did back then had simplistic plots, so this was just a great science fiction monster movie. Alien from Venus doubles in size every night, every day. This thing goes from being a little tiny, maybe 10-inch tall animal, which is what its normal size is on Venus. Yeah. But because of our atmosphere, it goes from that to being like 50 feet tall. And, of course, the special effects provided by Ray Harryhausen are absolutely amazing. I will run first on this one, and then let when you guys, because I'm excited. I love this movie, man.
Go right ahead.
So, big fan of this one. There's really nothing I don't like about this film. Like I said, the plot is it's a good 50 science fiction plot, a movie. I mean, you got an alien from another planet terrorizing the countryside and then Rome, and which is great because originally this movie was supposed to take place in like Chicago, I think. But Ray Harryhausen always wanted to vacation in Italy, and so he changed the script because this movie is based off of a script he wrote of his concept, and so they moved from Chicago to Italy just so he can go work in Italy and vacation in Italy while this was being done.
That works pretty good.
Genius move, Ray. I mean, that's perfectly genius. But it's cool because I don't know of any other monster movie that takes place in Italy and Rome. You know what I mean? Like this one does. Definitely none in Italy. And you got some classic, Greek-based movies like Clash of the Titans and stuff where you get around Rome and those areas, but not Italy. So it's cool. We got John Monster in Italy. And I think the acting's top-notch. I mean, William Hopper, of course, has done a lot of movies from back then. Joan Taylor, the same. She did phenomenal in Earth versus the Flying Saucers. But the whole cast, Frank Puglia, I mean, he's an exceptional actor. Frank is. He plays Dr. Leonardo. Even the little kid who plays Pepe. I mean, everybody in this cast was super strong, did an absolutely great job, and the special effects were handled to a T. I think this is the best special effects that Harryhausen ever did. Soundtrack is absolutely great. The pacing of the movie is great. There's never any real downtime where you get bored. Once it starts, it just keeps on rolling. And everything just kind of, to me, the whole movie just stepped up each scene. And it goes along with the monster's growth. You know what I mean? Like when they have to pull off because the straps and the cage the monsters is in come loose. Joan Taylor's character's out there trying to tie him back down, and they got the cage covered, but then the Ymir's arm busts out through it and grabs at her, and she's screaming. It goes from that to him escaping, to the fight scene in the barn, to the fight with the dogs, to the sulfur pits, to being captured, and then fighting the elephant, to the big fight against the army at the Colosseum. It's just like every scene they upped the ante with the Ymir, which was awesome. So I mean, because it just went top notch from start to finish. And then the special effects, man, I have to harp on this. I'm such a fan of stop motion animation, and Harryhausen's stop motion animation is the best there is. And this one, I think, was the pinnacle. I remember the one scene where the Ymir is laying on the table when they've got it captured and they're trying to study it, and it's passed out, or it's unconscious, and you can see it breathing. And this was the first film where what he had tried this, and what he had done is in the model, he would put in a little balloon tied to a tube, and the tube would run out the model, and then he had a little squeezer on it, and then he would squeeze it, pumping air in and out, to make the clay model look like it was actually breathing. And he did this in pretty much every film from here on out for his. But he did it. The best scene of that was that scene of the Ymir laying on the table, and it just looks awesome because it made it look like it was alive. So I mean, super amazing job with the special effects. I love this movie for all those reasons, but I love this movie so much more because the Ymir is not. It's a dangerous monster. but it's an innocent monster. It was taken from its home planet, and then it's just attacked constantly while it's just trying to figure out where it's at, how to survive type deal. And it never even actually really kills anything, save a few of the army guys at the end. But like the dogs, the elephant, like even the elephant, he fights the elephant, he bites it in the neck, and the elephant kind of gives up, and then the Ymir walks off, but you see the following scenes, the elephant's still breathing. So he's not really, he's just trying to stop from being attacked the whole time. And this was probably the best, aside from, I think he did a phenomenal job with Mighty Joe Young, but aside from Mighty Joe Young, the emotion that comes off of this creature, like when they shoot it with the flamethrowers and it's frightened, like you see it, when they shock him with the electric nets, you see the pain he goes through. The anger across his face. The emotions he was able to bring to life with this clay model is unreal. Absolutely unreal. And it made you feel for the monster, So like at the end when it dies, it's like, man, what a great movie, but what a sad ending for something. This is just, he's a stranger in a strange land and everything's out to get him. He's just trying, he doesn't know how to, but you can imagine he just wants to get home, right, but he never makes it. So to me, it was a great monster movie. It was a tragic story. The special effects were the freaking best of stop motion animation there is. The acting was great. Directing was great. The soundtrack was great. I have zero complaints on this film. There's not one exists. What about you guys?
Now, do you think it reminded you of the Kraken from?
Well, it did. It did.
Yeah,
well,
I thought it did.
Not just the Kraken, but also Calibus. The design and movement of Calibus and the facial structure of the Kraken were both taken from the Ymir's design.
I thought that was great. I mean, and I agree with you. Great movie. And then with them going ahead and colorizing it, or however you want to say it.
Oh yeah, for the 50th anniversary. They colorized the film,
which is the version I just watched. I thought it was just fantastic, and just really thought it was a great movie. I'd watched it before, the black and white version, and I really liked it. But then I watched it again. I thought, man, this is it's great. And in the stop motion, you're exactly right. You can't stop how good, and look and see how good that he does.
It's so fluid, so fluid,
and the acting was very good. And so I'm with you. Of course, it wasn't my birthday wish to watch it, but I'm glad we did, because it definitely was worth time to sit down and just watch it and really enjoy it. I thought it was a great movie.
Ruben, what about you, man?
Oh man, you covered a lot of what I was going to say. I'll just say this is the best stop motion movie I've ever seen. I'm a huge fan of the Sinbad series that he did. Those were as a kid, those were on TV all the time. This one wasn't on as much. In fact, I can't remember the last time it was on. I must have just seen this once, but once I saw it again, I remembered. I said, I remembered Pepe. So that's what I said. Now I've seen this one before, but the stop motion is just incredible. And especially, I'm watching it in 1080p in high definition, right?
Yep.
And the stop motion, it's stop motion, but it's so flawless. Even when he fights the farmer is stop motion.
Yeah.
The farmer is stop motion. That's how much detail is in this movie. And you can kind of tell it's him, but they put so much detail into that farmer. I was in awe. And then that elephant, even though it was a cross between stop motion and a real elephant charging, but that elephant was done so well, and Ymir was just perfect. And I too noticed, I'm like, he has him breathing. Even the dog, I think there was a part of when the dog was in stop motion, and he was breathing. I'm like, man, he didn't have to do that, but he did, to give it the realistic view. Because imagine watching this and just good old fashioned 480i back in the day on TV. It must have looked perfect, absolutely perfect.
Oh yeah.
Because there's no way you could, in 1080p, the only, the worst thing about 1080p is you get a great picture, but it exposes certain things that maybe before. Well, you see what happens when you eat too much candy? See,
well, I couldn't help it, man. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Chewing on chicken sticks.
Exactly.
It's my birthday episode.
The listeners can only listen, but he put a candy in his mouth, and all of a sudden he goes off the microphone, and he's all red and everything. I don't know what happened there. Must have been one of those Red Hots.
Oh no, that's next. The Atomic Fireball is next.
Yeah, but I was in awe of the perfection of the stop motion, and yeah, the acting was great, and the soundtrack was great on it. I loved it. Even the ship looked great to me. I mean, there was nothing on this movie, and I watched a colorized version.
Oh, that ship hanging out, sticking out of the water did look fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it did. It was just, I'm like, I can't believe what a great job they did this in movie, and I can't believe that this movie is not propped up more as one of the great monster movies, because it should be.
Oh, absolutely,
it really should be.
I completely.
It really should be. The movie we're doing after this gets accolades because we'll talk about it then. But this one should get accolades too, because it's just done so well. Yes, it's a 1950s sci-fi, atomic age movie, but this had nothing to do with the atomic age. It had to do with going to Venus, which I find weird. In the 50s, it was, Venus was always the planet in a lot of these movies. It's never Mars. Right, and then all of a sudden it became Mars. But for the longest time, it was Venus. Even Mark's favorite, wasn't that that was on Venus?
Ship of Monsters?
They were from Venus.
They came from there.
Monsters was from Venus. Yeah, they came from Venus.
Yeah, I think it's still on.
So I found it fascinating that they use, in those movies, they used Venus as the planet to visit versus Mars.
The go-to planet. Let's go to Venus.
Yeah, the go-to planet, the hip planet of the early 50s was Venus. It wasn't Mars, it was Venus, And but there's nothing about this movie that isn't perfect. The only thing that kept this, and I should have just gone ahead and given it a 5, because the only thing that kept it from giving it a 5 is there's movies above it. They're not stop motion, but they're a 5 as far as monster movies go. So, but this one, just put it this way: if I could do it by decimals, I might even go to a 4.75 on this one. That's how much I liked it.
Oh, it's so good. So
and
good.
You made fun of me when I did 3.997.
Yeah, but we don't do that on this show. We do in half size increments here, and I'm willing to live with that, and I'm willing to live with my stomp rating. But this movie is so. The thing is, I watched the other movie first that we're going to talk about second, and I like that one. That one, had some nostalgia, but this one just it negated the nostalgia I had for the other one and got a higher rating. So, and let's see, is there any other? Let me make sure I don't have any notes on. Nope, not on this one. Yeah.
Maybe I missed it in the beginning of the movie. They get two people off the rocket.
Yes.
One scientist dies.
Yes.
It's like the side of his face is crystallized.
Yes.
That's all they did with that, right? I mean,
that's it. Yeah. There was no further explanation for that whatsoever.
He talked about something about the air in Venus. So I connected it. He said something about the atmosphere in Venus that people started getting sick.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
They lost a lot.
Yeah, he did. So at first I thought, well, it's part of that alien infection, and this guy's going to turn into the. That's what that would be the assumption. But
I was kind of confused
about when they were talking about it. He says, well, we had a full crew. We got on Venus. We started exploring, and guys started. He made it sound like they were just dropping dead on the spot.
Yeah, because there was
that their suits didn't even
17 pilots that made it went, and only one came back.
Yeah.
They just
made it
had
sound
to
like
have a reason to kill them off.
And yeah. So and that caught my attention too, Mark, because I thought he's dragging him out. He says, "Get him too." So I said, "Well, he's not infected with anything. Otherwise, he wouldn't say take him off too."
Right.
Of the ship when they go in there, the fishermen go out and get him, and but that threw me off too, because I thought that was going to be more of a plot point, and it ended up not being a plot point at all.
No, around that time the Emir's born, and that's right. Takes over completely.
Well, I mean, that was just the big thing right there at the beginning, and they're trying to get answers out of him, and they don't get nothing. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, my assumption is they bring back this baby, Amir. So is there a daddy and mama back in Venus?
They allude to these creatures being on the planet.
Right.
But that's about as far as it goes.
You know, they could have done a sequel to this where mama and daddy come looking for baby. I'd like to have seen that.
Yeah, any sequel to this would have been absolutely amazing.
Yes. I know it would have. But
and then,
go ahead.
I forgot to mention it too. Did you guys know Ray's in the movie? Did y'all know that?
I saw where he is, but I mean that he was in it, but I don't remember what.
He's the man feeding peanuts to the elephant before it sees the Amir.
Okay.
So the guy who was supposed to play the role didn't make it to the set that day, so Ray just filled in. I mean, because even though Ray does all the special effects post,
your only part in the movie is to feed an elephant.
That's it,
and you don't make it.
Yeah,
he can't even do that. So Ray he was like, "I'm here, let's do it."
What's even more amazing is he said, that guy is important enough that I need him in there. He was just feeding an elephant. He could have just gotten somebody else to feed the elephant.
Oh yeah,
those people walking around.
Oh, yeah, hey, buddy, come here,
so I think, I mean, because you instead of walking around aimlessly, you're going to feed this elephant. So I find that amazing. I think he just wanted to feed the elephant.
Probably,
he was on vacation. He was
on vacation in Italy.
He called the guy up and said, "Hey, take the day off."
And another thing that watching the movie and the plot points, I thought there was some parallels between, because you're right. This creature, he's like, I don't know where I'm at. Why are you guys shooting at me? Or why are you guys, what's this? He climbs on top of the Colosseum, like King Kong climbs the Empire State Building.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And he gets shot down like King Kong. He's hanging on the side like King Kong did, and then he falls to his death. Just like King Kong. I'm like, man, that's so much like King Kong. Now, I will say the only thing missing during those Coliseum scenes, when they were going around looking for him, I was waiting for Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris to be around those corners there.
That would have been perfect.
Man, I was watching. I said, man, this is where Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee had their showdown. And wouldn't it be cool to have a cameo or something? Of course, this was way later, so it would have never happened. But the Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris was way later.
Yeah, this was way before.
But in watching them going through there, and another thing that impressed me too about this movie is the sets. Now I know a lot of them were just set in Italy, but the miniatures were awesome too. I just thought they just did I cannot rave enough about the special effects in this movie. That's what gives it that status that I think it should be held in higher.
And that was one of the things that was so good about Ray's technique was Ray limited his miniature work to as little as possible because he wanted to use the set and locations as much as possible.
Yes, as much, and he did.
And the way he would layer the photography over the film itself was just astounding the way he did it. Because I think of the scene when he was on the street, and you look. And it looks like he's right there on the street. The street itself is in camera. But now he's obviously special effect added in post. So's the lampstand he's attached to. So's the curb that he's at right there.
Right.
All that's miniature work. And it's outstanding because it looks like it fits right in there.
It looks like it fits right in. There's a scene where he, is it this one? I'm going to get confused. Where he steps on a vehicle and it's just done so well that I was just so impressed. I'm like, man. And you knew it was miniature because he didn't really step on a vehicle, of course. But and it was just so good. I can't say enough about watching this movie again, and it's been a long time. So I liked this so much that immediately after watching it, I went to Amazon to see how much it would be to purchase this thing. And it's going for $50. The Blu-ray is.
Is it really? I've got the Blu-ray upstairs, man. Like this one.
That one. And I'm like, man, I wish I would have known this. How good this was before, because I would have picked this up long ago. And now it's, of course, when you purchased it, it was probably $30 or whatever it was.
I think I got mine for maybe $25.
It might be something like that but now it's up to $50. I'll find it on eBay. Somebody will know.
Plus
what
all
they
the
have,
extra special features, man, because you got the interview.
Yeah,
there's a big long interview with Ray Harryhausen on it. It's awesome. It's awesome.
So I was just so impressed because. I was almost disappointed that I wasn't exposed to this movie more when I was a kid, because I guess Universal pretty much had the had RKO and Universal really had those were the Friday night movies that I usually watch. They were either RKO or Universal. This one was what, Warner Brothers? Is it Warner Brothers?
Yeah, Warner had this
Warner
one,
Brothers.
Yeah. Well, and one of the problems that came with too during the time was this is the turn of where you're starting to get color films. You know, and they tried to do this one in color, but the budget allowance did not allow for them to do. That's why they shot it in black and white, because you got other movies that came out around that time frame that were color. So I mean, I could see where this one got buried because it was, we want to see color now, not black and white.
Right.
You go to look at movies like Gamera, the first Gamera movie. I mean, that came out almost a decade after the first Godzilla, and you're talking 1965. And
it should have been
it should have been color.
Should have been in color,
but budget reasons they had to shoot on black and white film.
And you got a good point there, because to me that color thing started off as kind of like 3D movies, and for us, I mean, the way I relate it to is I remember every movie had to be in 3D, and if it wasn't in 3D, it wasn't worth watching. And I'm like, man, I prefer. I don't even watch movies in 3D. I just don't do it.
Me either.
Especially a guy like me who wears glasses, and I have to put those other glasses on top of them. Forget about it. I'm just not going to do it. So to me, but it was such a gimmick that, I mean, well, of course, color isn't a gimmick. It became mainstay. But you know what I'm saying? In other words, movies were rated on whether or not they were color or not, and they were either successful or not successful off of that.
Yeah.
Which isn't fair. A movie should be based on how good it is, but that's just how it went, and that's the closest thing I can think of modern day, that compares to it. Because I think people said, "Oh, I'm not going to go watch that. It's in black and white."
Right.
I'm going to watch color, So, and I remember as a kid, I mean, having a color TV, that was for rich kids back when I was a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that it was a big deal when we got a color TV, but so I imagine the same thing for movies. But this movie's just outstanding. I can't rave enough about it.
Oh, it's so good. My absolute favorite of all of Harryhausen's films, and my favorite of the Charles Schneer films as well. Of course, they worked on pretty much everything together anyways. So, all right. So we will hold off on the stomp rating until after we talk about the next film, which has a lot of history to it. And let's go right in this one. Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. Mark?
Hang on.
Uh-oh. Are we waiting on you?
No.
Oh, you said hang on.
You said Mark. I was busy.
Oh, well, my bad. Are you
available? Let me call Stompy. I'll get you straight.
Okay. Mr. Mark, do you have time to stop what you're doing and record our show?
we are recording.
I am moving over to the next movie is what I was doing here.
Oh,
all right. So
goodness.
20,000 Fathoms. Okay, the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
I'm not even talking to you.
He's not. He's ignoring us. So this movie came out June 13th of 1953. Was directed actually by Eugene Laurier, and that may sound familiar because we have done one of his films in the past. He actually also did Gorgo as well as The Giant Behemoth, which was pretty much a lower budget. Well, not a lower budget; it was a higher budget, but came across as a lower budget. English version of The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. So The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms was actually based off of a short story by Ray Bradbury called The Foghorn, which actually was not the original name of the short story.
Yeah, it was. It was not.
Yeah. So the original short story was actually called The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, and they changed the name after Ray and the guys had bought the rights. I think it was like $2,000 they paid for the rights. They called Ray up, said, "Hey, man," because Ray Harryhausen had written a story, and Ray Bradbury, who of course those two were friends, says, "Hey, this is a lot like my story, Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, that I just put out like on the Saturday, Gazette or whatever." And Harryhausen read it, loved it. They said, "Let's just buy the rights and do this." And so when they did that, they changed the name of Ray Bradbury's actual story from The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms to The Foghorn. And then this movie took The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms as his name. So it came out, and this movie had a $200,000 budget. Now it was picked up and bought for $800,000. But the actual film cost $200,000 to make, and it would go on to gross $5 million at the box office. Now, you got movies like Jaws, which was the first, quotations here, summer blockbuster, okay?
Yeah.
And it did gargantuan amounts of money. But I have argued and will always argue that the first true summer blockbuster was The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. When you look at the budget versus what it did in the box office, because at that time, the numbers were insane. How this movie never got a sequel, kind of did anyways, but never got an actual official sequel is beyond me. Because, I mean, it just raked in all kinds of cash. But this movie, of course, was directed by Eugene Laurier, and then it starred the great Kenneth Tobey, the great Cecil Kellaway. It starred Paul Christensen as well. And this movie was the first. This was actually the first movie that brought a prehistoric or a monster that was brought to life because of the atomic bomb. This is the movie that kicked off the entire atomic monster plethora of films that we got, from them to Godzilla to Giant Claw, you name it. I mean, all the atomic monster movies that came out after this is because of this movie. And this movie actually directly inspired Godzilla. Tomoyuki Tanaka, after seeing this film, flying back to Japan, and has like this is what inspired him to make Godzilla, because Godzilla originally was like almost like an octopus-like creature, in the original, the thought process of Tanaka's. But then he saw Beast from 20,000 Fathoms and was like, nope, this is it. This is the direction we need to go. A la we get Godzilla. To the point also, actually, this movie, and we'll get to the synopsis here in just a second, this movie, the original poster for the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms actually had fire coming out of its mouth. The Beast originally was supposed to be able to breathe fire, but because of budget, yada, 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 it doesn't breathe fire in this movie. But Tanaka made sure, after seeing that first original poster, that Godzilla did. So not only did it inspire Godzilla, it also made sure Godzilla had that famous atomic fire breath. So we've got the Beast to thank for that big time. But so pretty simplistic. It is. It's the start of the atomic monster movies. And what you've got is Paul how can I pronounce his name? Hubschmid. Dr. Nesbitt, okay? He's at the North Pole with Colonel Jack Evans, who is played by the great Kenneth Tobey, and they are doing a atomic bomb test, and they want they're fire off this atomic bomb. Then they're doing all these tests on it. As they're out there doing these tests, they find Dr. Nesbitt and his partner come across the Beast. The Beast has been broken out of the iceberg, and he ends up killing his Nesbitt's partner. Nesbitt ends up getting knocked out. He gets rescued.
That's a bad way to die,
dude. Yeah,
all that snow and ice falling. Buries him.
Totally obliterates him.
Oh yeah.
And the stunt work back then, by the way, was absolutely great, because when he falls off that cliff but still survives, that looked like that freaking hurt. I was like, that stunt man is the man. Yeah. But so he ends up dying. Nesbitt gets rescued, and when he comes to in the hospital or in the medical ward, he's going on and on. There was this monster, and of course nobody believes him. He goes back to the States. He's in a psychiatric ward, and he finally says, yes, it was all my imagination, even though he's lying just so he can get out. Because as soon as he gets out, he goes straight to a Professor Thurgood Elson and his assistant Lee Hunter to talk about this Beast, because she heard about it, and she wanted to talk to him about it because she believes him, because this Beast has made it from the North Pole down on its way to New York. It actually breaks up and attacks a lighthouse directly from the a la Foghorn, Ray Bradbury story. And then that guy who survives the attack on the lighthouse, he talks about it in the newspaper. And so Lee's like, you got to come talk to Dr. Elson. Elson might believe you. And Elson is also played by the great Cecil Kellaway, which I think is absolutely hilarious, because in the movie he makes a joke about leprechauns, because when he tries to tell him that this monsters are real, he was the star of The Luck of the Irish, in which he played a leprechaun. So I thought that was absolutely great in that. So, but of course they come to find out that, Lee takes him back to her place, and he's looking through all these different photos, and he finds a picture of the dinosaur. They take the dinosaur picture, which is a rhedosaur, to Dr. Elson. Excuse me, Chico Stick coming back to find me. And they're like, well, it could possibly exist. Well, now this thing is definitely on its way. So they end up going into a dive bell to try and find this thing in the ocean as it's swimming down to New York. Dr. Elson does find it. Unfortunately, the Beast ends up killing Dr. Elson. And then right before he kills Dr. Elson is when it makes its way onto land and decides to attack New York in what is absolutely amazing sequence. And then, of course, the movie culminates. They find a weapon, or they come up with a radioactive isotope to be able to kill the creature, because they find out that as they shot the creature, the blood in the beast is radioactive and it's killing people and poisoning people, or making people around the citizens poisoned by radioactivity. So they use a radioactive isotope loaded into a rocket, and at what's technically supposed to be Coney Island, even though it's not. It's the amusement park in L.A. where they shot it. They fight the beast. They end up shooting it with a rocket and finally bring this thing down and kill it right in the middle of this roller coaster set that's on fire, and it's absolutely epic. That's the plot for every other giant monster movie about the atomic bomb from here on out for the next several decades. But this is the one that started it all. Very simple story. Very, very simple story. Excuse me. But this is what started it all. Mark, you take the reins. You go first on this guy.
Okay, yeah, I'm ready now. You had a question?
Are you ready?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready now.
I just want to make sure you're good.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm ready. It is a very good movie, and to kind of kick things off as far as excuse me, the monster movie with the atomic bomb and where that has gone since that movie. I thought they for the first one to come out, I thought the acting was good, special effects are good. Everything about the movie is good.
You got Kenneth Tobey. It's Cecil Kiloway.
It's a black and white movie, and to watch it nowadays, that's something hard to sit down and really watch. And so I thought they did this fantastic job. Really, really life. That's I can't say its name.
The Redosaur?
Yeah, that thing.
The Redosaur.
And I think it's just, Lee Van Cleef. It's he's in it.
Yeah.
He's the one that actually
he's in it.
Yep.
Kills it. But I thought overall, I thought it was a very good movie, compared to the first one we watched. Maybe not quite as good, but still entertaining. The story plot, even though it was simple, it kept you going, and you stayed in it and where it was at and what it was going. And so I thought sums up a very, very good movie.
Ruben, what about you?
Oh, yeah, I enjoyed this movie thoroughly now. This one did have a nostalgia feeding. As a matter of fact, okay, and if I've already told this story, I apologize to the listeners. When I was a kid, okay, Friday nights was the night, okay? And I know some of y'all already heard some of this. I mean, every Friday night, KHTV when we got cable, finally, KHTV out of Houston would show every Friday night. It was either, man, they went through the Planet of the Apes. They went through, is it Andy Hardy? Andy Hardy movies?
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Yeah, is it Andy Hardy? They would show, they go through all the Abbott and Costello movies. They would go through the Universal Monster. And then they'd go through some monster movies. And I remember this one being on one night. But thing is, the way I would do it is we had our TV set up. It was in the living room. I turn off all the lights. My dad had built like a toy chest in a corner of the living room to put all my toys in, but it had like cushion on top, so it was more like it was a hidden toy chest. It was made out of wood, so you could sit on it. But it was long enough that I could lie down on the thing. I was a kid, so I could lie down on the sucker easily. So I'd turn off all the lights, get me some popcorn or some kind of snack, a drink. I'd sit on that toy chest and watch monster movies. When this one came on, it immediately gave me that. When I turned it on, I immediately turned off all the lights in my living room and sat there, went and got me a drink, sat there, put it on a coffee table and just enjoyed this movie because it just took me back. Mark mentioned it was in black and white. I think that was part of the appeal for me, that it was in black and white. And maybe that was the one that was Warner Brothers. I don't know. It was Warner Brothers. Maybe that was the one that was Warner Brothers. And so I enjoyed this movie thoroughly. I know it kicked off that whole Godzilla. It inspired the Godzilla, but its story is simplistic, but it gets to the point, and it's a good monster movie. The stop motion is good on it. I thought the acting was good. Now I did notice right off the bat that Alvin Greenman, he's just a radar guy in the very beginning of the movie, but he played Alfred in Miracle on 34th Street, and I immediately recognized him when that movie came out. He played Alfred And I'm like, hey, that's Alfred from Miracle on 34th Street. And, it just immediately, I mean, his voice, his face, he's very recognizable. And he just plays a minor part. He's on in the first, 3 minutes, and then he's gone for the rest of the movie. But I thought the acting was good in this one. I thought the stop motion was, again, Harryhausen doesn't do bad. I mean, it's great on this one. And the movie we did first actually came out after. So you can see where his craft is even getting honed more and more. So it's good to see his evolution where I guess he never stopped thriving to get better at his craft.
Absolutely.
Which is great. That's what makes the movies so much better is that he never stopped trying to get better. And this one's up there. The creature design was, considering that he didn't have anything to, when they made this movie, this was all Harryhausen saying, okay, this is what I want him to look like. This is what this is what I want. Considering he didn't have, it was just him, his inspiration to come up with that. And then, of course, now we got Godzilla. And like you said, every other giant monster. Now, I will say he started off the Atomic Age monster, but the way I understood the story, he was just released because they were testing the atomic bomb. He wasn't, I don't know, I guess he was exposed because his blood was radioactive, right? His blood was, so he was exposed, but it's not like he grew in size. I mean, he was the size he was. And it wasn't until later on in the movie that you find out, oh, his blood's radioactive, so that means he's radioactive. And it's kind of disappointing not to see that fire breathing. But still, it doesn't take away from the overall feel of this movie, which is great. This is another, but this one does get accolades because it's forever tied to Godzilla. It's forever tied as the inspiration of Godzilla. So this one does get accolades, and it deserves it. It deserves every single accolade that it gets. And I think I saw that it's rated pretty high on Rotten. Both of these are rated pretty high on the tomato meter on Rotten Tomatoes. So both of these movies are great. So this one too, I don't have many complaints about this movie. I saw this one first. So when I saw it, I thought this is a good movie. And then I saw the other one. I like this one better, So I Stomp rated it accordingly. So that's it, man. That's what I got on this.
Like, I'm obviously 20 Million Miles is my favorite. This is my second favorite Harryhausen film for so many reasons. Yes, if it wasn't for Beast, we wouldn't have had the Godzilla that we got. And so that I'm forever grateful. But putting Godzilla aside, this movie was just absolutely amazing. One, I mean, you got a great cast. I'd already been, at this time as a kid, prior to seeing this, I'd already been introduced to Kenneth Tobey. Became a huge fan of his because of the Thing from Another World. That was with James Arness that came out. I saw that movie first, loved that movie, even though all they do is freaking open and close doors in it. It's still a great movie. But so I knew Kenneth Tobey, and I already loved him as an actor. And of course, Cecil Kellaway, I didn't know, seen this until after I saw Luck of the Irish many years later, and I was like, oh, dude, it's him, Now I get the leprechaun joke. So I love the cast. The cast in this movie is very strong, very good cast. Ray Bradbury and Eugene Laurier, who I want to talk about for a moment, did a phenomenal job picking the cast and directing the cast. Eugene, of course, would go on to do Gorgo, and Gorgo, I think overall, I don't know. It's hard to decide which one I like better. This one gets more accolades because it created Godzilla, so to speak. But Gorgo, I thought, was just like the pinnacle of his giant monster films. Giant Behemoth was complete garbage. But Eugene just had he had a good way of just telling the story. I liked the way he progressed his stories. And he handled this one extremely well. And with Ray Bradbury, just had an eye for the scenes with the Beast in this movie. And the scenes where he's going down through New York, terrorizing New York. I mean, not even starting there. Starting when he comes out of the ocean at the, in Hudson River or whatever it is right there, Hudson Bay. That is an epic scene. That scene is absolutely awesome. I look back at that scene and go, y'all should have just told, they did that same scene in Godzilla 98, which I've talked many times before, how 98 should have never been a Godzilla movie. They should have been called the remake of The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, because it absolutely is.
I've never heard you say that.
You lie. We even talked about it earlier. So,
I don't know what you're talking about. I just see things on your shelf.
Whatever. It should have been called The Beast. So those scenes, of course, which are 98 is just totally steals from The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. In The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, those scenes are just epic. You know what I mean? And in the original release, they put it on a video release later, but there's even the scene where he swallows the cop, where he eats the cop. That's unreal. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. It's terrifying scene where in 20 Million Miles to Earth, the scenes with the Ymir are awe-inspiring. You know what I mean? You're just jaw-dropped in awe. When you see the Beast, you're jaw-dropped in terror. You know what I mean?
In that scene where he eats the cop, you even see the cop's legs flip.
Yeah,
yeah, it's kinda...
I mean, just because Harryhausen, dude, he was so good at what he did.
Yeah.
But so this one had such a menace to it, and of course the Redosaur looks absolutely amazing. But it was so terrifying and menacing seeing him destroy the city, and of course the climactic scene at the end at Coney Island is just absolutely epic. I mean, so the soundtrack's great. Even the underwater sequences with the diving bell and him swimming through the water looked fantastic.
Yeah. Yes.
This movie was just, for me, is great. It's one of the ones of his that I can go back and watch over and over and over again. These two especially. There's a lot of cool stuff in this one that was little things that if you pay attention to that I didn't notice at first, but over the years I've been like, oh yeah, this is, and then there's this. So if you go back and notice little things, not Easter eggs because they're not Easter eggs, but things you might catch, like the Arctic lab base that they're at. That's the same set from The Thing from Another World that Kenneth Tobey's starred in as well. So I was like going back watching it as a teenager. I'm like, hey, wait a minute, that looks familiar. I'm like, that is. And I go back and look back and forth. I'm like, that's the same set. That's really freaking cool that they would do that. To the things they put in, like all the dinosaur drawings that they look at was done by a renowned artist named Charles Knight. Charles Knight, he's the guy that did all the drawings for dinosaurs back then. I mean, he was pretty much the go-to man of like, okay, here's the bones. What's it supposed to look like? He would come up with the drawings. His drawings inspired the dinosaurs for movies like The Lost World. We're talking, the original The Lost World. And the dinosaurs in King Kong. I mean, everything that you see from those classic movies and dinosaurs, their go-to for information was these Charles Knight photos. So that was really cool. I mean, when you look through, when you were watching it, even as a kid, I remember going, man, I feel like I've seen that picture, and I've seen that picture, and I've seen that picture. Well, the reason why they all look so familiar is because these are pictures that's been used throughout history because of Charles Knight and how well renowned he was.
I wonder if he was the artist in the King Kong versus Godzilla. Remember in that scene where that scientist is talking and they got that picture up?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I wonder if that's one of his too.
Yeah, I bet.
I bet it probably is.
When you said that, I'm like, man, it was up, and then they kind of showed it, and that picture. Now that you say it, I'm like, man, you know what? That looks eerily like that picture from King Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah, it could be. I didn't look that up. So I mean, there's so much about this movie I absolutely I adore and I love. Creating Godzilla, the monsters. Absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you love these characters. I mean, even Cecil, man. I mean, as Dr. Elrod, he when he dies, that sucks. You know what I mean? It's like, oh man.
Yeah.
Like, even watching it again the other night, and I've seen this movie I don't know how many times. I'm like, oh, he's about to die.
And he was on the verge of going on vacation.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, he was about
on
to go on vacation. Like
he was about to go on the holiday, and he said,
Dr. Elson.
Oh, he was looking forward to it.
Elson. Yeah, he was. He was ready to go.
He was ready to go on vacation. Poor guy.
Yeah. So and that scene, cool. I brought up Eugene Laurier too because I want to bring that up too because if you remember, there's the dive bell scene from Gorgo, which is literally the same scene. He doesn't get killed from this movie. I mean, it's the same thing. You know what I mean? Excuse me. So I absolutely love it. Special effects were top notch. I mean, I don't say again because this came out before 20 Miles to the Earth, but special effects were top notch. This movie inspired the greatest monster of all time because it's just that.
It created I mean, you can argue King Kong started the genre, but as far as atomic monsters, this is it. This is what created it. Yeah.
This is the first one, So I think it's an absolutely phenomenal film. Very little. The only thing I would say maybe I don't like about the movie is the story is a little simplistic, but it's not bad. It's a kind of a simplistic story. You know what I mean?
And I think the ending was a little weak. he really didn't do anything there besides try to eat the roller coaster. Right there at the very end, and I'd like to see him, at least go out attacking.
Go out with a little more of a bang.
Yeah. But he kind of ate the roller coaster, got shot, walked around 2 circles, and out he went.
Well, again, a la
good movie.
Why Godzilla 98 should have been in a remake for this because,
Yeah, that's basically what happened. He just got tangled up in some wires instead. That's it. And got shot with some missiles, and that was it.
I'm just saying, he's
a great. He's a historian of Godzilla 98.
Oh, absolutely.
If there was a class taught in college on Godzilla 98, they would call this man.
Because it was that detrimental.
Professor Sludge is going to teach.
If I ever went through a period of depression in my life,
hey, his classroom would be the nerd vault because there's enough up there.
There is not. There is not. It is far outweighed by others. So, all right, let's get going. It's time for the stomp rating. All right, so here we go. We got 2 movies to rate. The first one up is 20 Million Miles to Earth, which we collectively gave a 4.5. And that was because of Mark. It's his fault because I gave it a 5. Ruben, you gave it a 4.5, right? And then Mark gave it a 3.9 or whatever.
Write it down. Oh,
No, I didn't write it down. So, okay. But overall, we rated this one really, really high. It is one of the better films we've reviewed. Yes. Like I said, I gave it a 5. With no nostalgia needed, because there's some nostalgia factor to this film, but we all did. 4 to 5, we rated this thing. It is, if you've not seen 20 Million Miles to Earth,
definitely watch.
You've got to watch this movie because it is just a pinnacle of special effects from that era. It's a great story, acting, everything's top notch. It's a phenomenal film. Now, the origins of Godzilla, the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, collectively. This one got a 4 from us, so a little bit lower. Yeah. For me, it was on account of the story is not as good. I didn't find this one just because it was not, even though it inspired Godzilla, it just wasn't quite to par of what 20 Million Miles to Earth was for me. So I gave this one like a 4.5, but collectively we gave it a 4, as it just lacked a little bit in comparison, especially with the storyline. The actors again were great. But the pacing wasn't quite as good as 20 Million Miles to Earth was. And for those few minute reasons, it didn't get a 5 for me. But again, collectively a 4. They're the best. They're the best Ray Harryhausen films. In my opinion, the best Ray Harryhausen films there are. Now, of course, that can be argued, and I would even succeed maybe to some other people because, Ruben, you'll totally go with the Sinbads, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would. I would start arguing on the Sinbads. Yeah, I would, because those were my favorites. But this one, I tell you what, I would say this. I said it. That was the best Ray Harryhausen work I've seen. So, I would not argue with you that much. I might try to defend Sinbad.
Well, and the Sinbads are phenomenal.
It's kind of like you defend 98.
Not defend 98. So, like, people will defend, Clash. There'll be tons of people to be like, Clash of Titans is the best of his films. You know what I mean? Yeah. I know people that Jason the Argonauts, that's top notch, for him. So,
yeah,
it's one of those things too. It's like, you're going to walk into.
It's very subjective.
Hey, walk into a car dealership and you pick yourself a Corvette out of this pool of Corvettes. That's what you're doing with Ray Harryhausen films. There's not
exactly. That's it.
Yeah, there's nothing bad. You just pick the best of whatever one you want. You know what I mean? Great.
You pick out your You just pick out your color. That's it.
Yeah. Just pick out your color because it's absolutely top notch no matter what. So
I need that back.
Why do I need the paperback? Oh, I do. We got the trivia coming up. I need to write my answers down. So, all right, guys. Well, there you go. Thank you guys so much for. Of course, we got some stuff coming up for you here in a second. But thank you so much for letting me do a double feature of my 2 favorite Ray Harryhausen films. And you heard it from us: 4.5 and a 4. These are must-see movies. If you've not seen these, you need to. For 20 Million Miles to Earth, you need to at least watch it because it could be argued as being the best of Harryhausen's, the best stop-motion animation work there is. And, of course, The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, not only being amazing, it is what inspired Godzilla and kicked off the plethora of atomic age monster movies.
It's
So
a double bill for Sludge's 40th birthday.
I am not
Great.
40. I am 37.
And you know what? Now I could see this in a drive-in as a double bill.
Oh, yeah.
You just
that
would have
would be
been
perfect.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I'd love to go to a drive-in to see these two movies.
I would too. That would be
This is
that'd
a
be the
drive-in
best
movie.
driving experience ever for me.
It'd be a
So
good one.
Yeah.
all right, guys, it's time for the next one. Are you guys ready for Test Your Might?
Well, don't we have to have a review first?
Well, let's get into the segment.
Oh, okay. My
It's
bad.
time to
My
test.
bad.
It's time to test your
Who is
might.
worse, Sludge or Stompy, man? Man.
Let's do it. Test your might.
Your might. Test your might. Test your might. Test your might. Test your might.
All right. So, yes, last time I lost and I had to watch such an unbelievably hilarious movie called The Ginger Dead Man that Mark picked out for me. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for letting me watch that Gary Busey gem that's missed by most. So, I mean, quickly, it's very much like Chucky or Child's Play. You got a serial killer who gets killed and brought back to life through some magic as a gingerbread man. And he's after the girl that survived. He kills in a diner her whole family pretty much, and except for her mom, kills her dad and her brother, and she's the only survivor. He's put to death, comes back as a gingerbread cookie because she runs her family's bakery, and she's trapped inside with a couple friends. And Gary Busey's a gingerbread serial killer. It's absolutely awesome. It is as crazy as you think it would be, and the one-liners, it's a little bit language heavy, but some of the one-liners from Gary Busey are just top-notch, man. I mean, the Pillsbury Doughboy jokes are phenomenal. The Eat Me jokes are phenomenal. This movie was great. Like, I remember watching it when it came out years and years and years ago, and absolutely enjoyed this movie. It is just so stupid it's fun. And again, I severely enjoyed this movie, so thanks, Mark. I appreciate
you're
that.
welcome. You're welcome.
If you guys want to keep throwing those type of ones at me, that'd be awesome. So, all right, you guys ready for the next round of trivia?
Let's do this thing.
All right, Ruben, you got your pen and paper?
Yes, sir. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Just want to make sure. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Number 1, the beast from 20,000 Fathoms was called what in Japan? A, the sea monster. B, atomic monster appears. Or C, dinosaur in New York.
Could you say that one more time?
Yep. A, the sea monster. Do you need the question again?
Yeah.
Okay. The beast.
No. Just answer. Just answer.
A, the sea monster. B, atomic monster appears. Or C, dinosaur in New York.
All right. I got it.
All right. Number 2, we learn that the Ymir originated from Venus, hence the title 20 million miles from Earth. But how far is Venus from Earth actually? A, 23.6 million miles. B, 19.7 million miles. Or C, 28.3 million miles.
I have no idea. I'm watching the next movie, by the way.
You got your answers?
Yeah, I'm ready.
You're studying those questions really too hard there.
Hold on. What actor? What's going on? Okay, something's happened with Charlie's email here. It's all.
Okay, hold on. What's going on? That's not the same question he sent me earlier.
No, something's going on with his email. Okay, here we go. Hey, Stompdown suckers, it's me, Stompy. Oh, my God.
Oh, no.
And I decided to help my good buddy Charlie out since he's been catching some flack lately. So the final question isn't going to be multiple choice. It's going to be Frank's favorite game show style, The Price is Right. Basically, whoever gets the number-based question answered closest without going over even by 1 wins. So simple, even Frank gets it. Ready? Here it goes. Oh, crap. Ginger Dead Man director Charles Band is famous for his direct-to-video movies, and he has a laundry list of producing, directing, and writing credits over a long career. How many credits of the 3 jobs listed above does he currently have? Haha, good luck. Oh my gosh!
How many movie credits? Is that what he's asking?
For producing, directing, and writing credits over a long career. There's a message. There's a P.S. at the bottom. P.S. It's me, Frank. I'm really sorry about Stompy doing this. I feel bad. So here's a hint. It's over 400, but less than 500. Shh! Don't tell Stompy I did this. I think I may have just ruined that for you, Frank. I'm so sorry. Okay. So. All right, so we've got to get this.
I already wrote down an answer.
I'm guessing one. Totally out in the ball field here. Everybody got an idea?
I have no idea, but I did get a number.
What number? I want to know what number you guessed.
What do you mean? It's between 400 and 500.
400 and 500. All right. Here we go. Number 1. What was the beast from 20,000 Fathoms called in Japan? The answer is B. Atomic Monster Appears.
Yeah.
That's it. I got it.
Got it.
You got that one, Mark?
Yes, sir.
I'm surprised. That's awesome.
Yes, sir.
I knew that one. Number 2. I did know this one. I'm not going to lie to you guys.
You did know it?
I did know this one. How far is Venus from Earth? The correct answer is A. 23.6 million miles.
Bam. Got that one.
Whoa. All right.
I mean, yeah, that you see. Let me give you a Charlie. I'm going to give you credit. I study for these questions. Okay. So when I'm going over these movies, I'm like, okay, what is Charlie going to throw at us? And in which direction? So, when I was in college and even in high school, I studied the professor more than anything else because I had to figure out what kind of test they gave. And this is what I'm doing with Charlie. Let's see if he can throw me for a loop on the next one. But so far, I knew he was going to ask that Venus question. I just knew it.
So did you got it right too? Okay,
so
we're all 2 for 2 here.
I knew he was going to ask that about Venus.
It's going to boil down to
this one. Oh
Frank.
man.
Yeah.
All right, number 3, and Charlie did put a note here. Sorry guys, Stompy caught me off guard. The correct answer is 478.
I got 463, and I'll show it to you. On
No way.
Hey, look at that. 463.
I put 463.
Oh my goodness!
All 3 of us.
That's
Nobody
amazing.
looked at the answers. You see?
I cannot believe that.
Oh my god!
What are the odds of all of us doing a 463?
What the heck? Wow!
Oh
That's
my
amazing.
goodness!
Amazing.
We were pretty. We were in tune.
You know
there,
what I was
boys.
going to do? I was going to do a price and right. I was going to ask Sludge, what did you do? And I was going to do $1 more.
Yeah.
Then I would have won. But I did. I'm
crazy.
463.
463.
And there's no way. I mean, you guys see it, right? You guys see
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I'm looking at 463.
I mean,
He's in Texas. Wow, we all got 463.
man.
That's crazy. All right, so we all got 2 right and 1 wrong.
No, I got all 3 right.
I got all 3.
No,
I got all
463
3.
is not the right answer.
It is.
No, 478
But
was the
it's-
right
Yeah,
answer.
but the closest to it.
Wait.
Oh,
Yes.
closest to it. That's
Without
right. That's
going
right.
over,
Price is right.
Without going over, so we were all right.
Price is right.
All right, so all 3 of us were
Sludge
close to
here.
it.
Sludge here doesn't watch the Price
It's
is
been
Right.
a minute, right?
It's, you know,
Last time I saw Bob Barker,
Yeah.
he was beating up Adam Sandler, so give me a break, okay?
That's true. Well,
Okay.
it's not Bob Barker
Or Bob-
anymore.
yeah, well.
It's Drew Carey.
Yeah.
It's Drew Carey now. Yeah, that's all.
Man, I don't know
And
what
he
to
has
do here.
hair.
I don't know what to do. We all 3 won.
Now back to your regularly scheduled program.
We have a tiebreaker question thanks to Josh from the band The Protest, my old lead singer and the guy who does the retro news segment for us. He came in for us at the last minute with a question based off a monster movie. And here's our tiebreaker question. Boys, are you ready?
Good.
Who directed the movie Slither? Was it A, James Gunn, B, Takashi Miike, or C, Robert Eggers?
I just wrote the name down. What was it again? What was the choices?
So, who directed the movie Slither? A, was it James Gunn, B, Takashi Miike, or C, Robert Eggers?
Gotcha.
Do we have our answers?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
let's see what it is. He hasn't texted me the answer yet.
I have to look it up.
Oh. I can give you the answer because I already know.
The answer is A, James Gunn.
Did not know that.
I did. And so did Charlie. Mark lost again, and it's Josh's fault.
Thank you, Josh Bramlett. Thank you, Josh.
We have survived. So next time we'll make sure Charlie gets us a tiebreaker question. But thank you, Josh, so much for pulling through for us there at the last minute. We did call him on the fly, and he got us taken care of. Mark, Ruben.
Make your pick.
Make your pick. I did last time. Last time me and you won. I picked the movie.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought it was going to go to you.
You picked Kiss Meets the Phantom.
Oh, no, that's right.
I did.
Okay, so never mind. I'm picking.
I did.
Mark?
So you're picking,
Yep,
yeah.
you get to watch The Last Shark.
The Last Shark.
The Last Shark.
Okay.
It is on the Plex. I was even talking to Pete about it the other day. He goes, why in the bleep would you make anybody watch that movie? I was like,
and if Pete's saying that, good lordy. Oh.
So, awesome. So, Last Shark, you got to let us know. All right, guys. That was a fun episode for sure, and the trivia definitely got crazy.
Yes.
That never happened. 463 is now my new favorite number because that was crazy we did that. So, all right, guys. Thank you all again so much for celebrating my birthday with this episode. Appreciate it so much for me letting me do a double feature. Again, if you guys have not seen 20 Million Miles to Earth or The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, go check those movies out. We all highly recommend it. Also, coming up this month, the next episode from us is going to be a 2016 film called The Monster. This one is going to be a really good episode because this will probably be a much deeper episode than you've heard from us. That's kind of the reason why I picked this movie, because it's really, really good and it'll really make you think. Also, be looking out. We got commercials coming out soon, and make sure and go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the little notification bell so that you know when videos are popping up, because the Stompy and Frank episode 1, first show from those guys, will be coming out on the 30th of this month. It is an all-video cast show, and if you want to be able to see it, you've got to watch it on YouTube. So please go find us on YouTube at the Monster Movie Stompdown, and then like and subscribe to the page, hit the little bell notification, and you'll know when the episode drops. And of course, as always, join our Facebook group. Follow us on Instagram. That way you can come talk to us. We've got plenty of amazing things that happen. We've got tons of extra content that go on all week long. Mondays we do the Underdogs, where we review or we talk about movies you may have probably never heard of that kind of went underneath the radar, and we call them Underdogs because they're worth watching and worth checking out. Wednesday we got Ruben's new content, which is the Monster Mash Wednesdays, where he picks up and does music. I mean, and in great detail, by the way. I'm loving all the information that he's putting out on songs that are either featured in a monster movie or songs by bands that are about monsters in some fashion or form. He's doing a phenomenal job on that. And of course, Fridays we got our Friday Night Fights, where we pit two famous monsters against each other, and you guys decide who wins. Ruben, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I just I hope you guys enjoyed this week's Monster Mash, which is Iron Maiden's Phantom of the Opera. It was my pick for this past one. We're airing this on Friday. We're recording this on Tuesday, so it hasn't happened yet. I'm talking about the future now.
He's messing with your mind.
Yeah. Yeah. But I also wanted to give you a hint on what's next. And my hint is, make sure I don't just cut it all up. Next week is next week is going to be something groovy.
Ooh.
So that's the hit.
Groovy.
Something groovy.
So I'm thinking it's coming from like the Evil Dead series. It's got to. I'm thinking Army of Darkness. Don't give away. We'll find out. We'll find out. So I don't want to dive into my mind just went, where could So, all right. Yeah. So, yeah, definitely. If you want to get in on all the extra content that we give you guys, of course, the Underdogs, Monster Mash Wednesdays, and Friday Night Fights, please go join us on Facebook. Our group is the Monster Movie Stompdown group. Join us there. And, of course, we talk about stuff all the time, and not just these extra content things. And we've grown into a good little community of friends now. And then, of course, follow us on Instagram. We put the extra content there. That's the only two places you will find the extra content that we give every single week. And of course, be listening. You never know when the monthly prize pack is going to be going out. So when you hear the contest drop with the retro news segment, you make sure you jump on either the Facebook group or Instagram. Again, the only two places you can enter the contest, and you will win a monthly prize pack from us. And so far, the first two that's gone out, people have loved them. Included in that prize pack is one card from our collector's trading card series that we put out, and they look great. You guys got yours, didn't you?
Oh yeah, got them.
I sure did. I've got them right here with my other.
Of course,
with they got a prestigious place with my King Kong cards and my Planet of the Ape cards.
And Ruben, did you get yours first? Or was it me that got? Oh no, it was Charlie that got.
I don't want to hear that.
Oh,
Come on. All right,
yeah,
look,
Charlie got his
sorry,
first.
Ruben. When you got because I met Charlie pretty much the day that I got the cards. We went and so I gave him his set because I told him he was getting the set, and then Ruben, you got a set. Josh from the protest got a set. Mark got a set, and then of course Pete got a set. Ruben, what did you do with your set once you got them?
What did I? Well, first of all, I went through and read them all. Read the front and back, and then I put them in a prestigious location here, and my nerd vault, aka RJ's old room, or now the podcast room, but that gets invaded by my wife during the day to do business and accounting and stuff. I don't know.
The not important.
I told her
things.
that's. Yeah, they say just don't move my mic and we're okay.
So you got them and you enjoyed them, and then you put them up on display somewhere.
Yeah. Matter of fact.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah. Let's see.
They're still in. They're still in the top loaders.
Look at that.
Right,
look at that.
They're still all.
So
they're all in order.
Okay. That's cool. You
order.
got them. You enjoyed them.
I've got a little shelf here. Yeah, I got a little shelf here with. Matter of fact, it's right next to a Spider-Man and Hulk comic book. Peppy Hair figure from Star Fox. And King Kong versus Godzilla Kong.
Man.
Sits right there.
Nice.
Yeah, so right there on the shelf.
See, now I got my cards. And, of course, I put them in top loaders. Actually, I'm not going to lie. I took 2 sets for myself. I put a set in top loaders, and they're cased and put away just to keep safe. Right. But then I took another set and put them on display with my card collection. So they're right there with my Ultramans and my Godzilla cards. Full display, looking great. Mark, what did you do with your cards?
My cards, when I got done,
are lost.
Looking at them, I threw them away.
Whatever, threw them away. No.
That actually went in the safe at my work.
No, you left them at work. That's what you did.
Yeah,
they're still there.
They're still there.
I am at
work more than I am at home. I'm working.
They're right next to these guys.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, right, those are sweet. See, I did that. Yeah. That's what I did with the Monster sometimes. I took care of them. Yeah. You left them at your place of employment.
Where are they at my place of employment?
So I don't want to hear it.
Okay.
I don't want to hear it.
Exactly.
The safe. That's
exactly.
Yeah.
You thought you had me, didn't you?
Oh, I knew.
That's why I had to say thrown away. That's why I had to say it. Oh.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. During the podcast, I was RJ's been texting me, so I was doing back and forth. I hope I wasn't too distracted.
No. So, all right, guys. Thank y'all again so much for listening to the episode. Again, get on Facebook and social media. It's not just for us, but for everybody on the podcast group. We have great shows. Everyone's absolutely awesome. Get to know them, talk to them. The group's pages are so much fun. We thank you again so much, and we'll definitely talk to you again in 2 weeks. This is Sludge.
And Mark.
You got Ruben in Texas.
Y'all have a good night.
Come on, you think you want to live forever?
Now what?
But no matter what happens, Godzilla will win.
Man, RoboCop was better. Hello, peasants. Stompy here, reminding you to join the Monster Movie Stompdown Facebook group and follow us on Instagram so you can get all of the extra content from the Monster Movie Stompdown. 3 times a week, we bring extra content with The Underdogs on Mondays, where we discuss great monster movies you might have missed. Monster Mash Wednesday, where we discuss the music of the monster movies or monster-related music, either way. And of course, Friday Night Fights, where we put 2 titular monsters, is that even the right word? I don't know if I can say that word. In the ring, and you decide who wins. So don't be a loser. Go join us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram.